I think everybody thinks that I know the future. I really don't. I mean, I just thought this is really hot. Let me sell some, let me sell some more. And then the thing crashed. If what happened in gold didn't send it up, didn't send your stock up, you should quit. Gold people talk about 10,000 gold and then look at Bitcoin at 65 grand and be like, man, this is nuts, dude.
Are mining stocks cheap right now, by the way? They've fallen
They're
like
cheap
double
for
digits.
a reason.
Markets are mixed today on Monday, July 27th, with the stock markets trading flat. Gold is up slightly and the dollar is flat. Bitcoin is up slightly. What has happened in the last couple of weeks? Let's recap the biggest moves. Let's recap what happened with the chip stocks collapsing and whether or not this is the beginning of the end of the AI trade. And if it is, where do we hide? Our next guest is going to examine the biggest risks and opportunities that investors face today, this week, and into the remainder of the year. We'll also be giving a preview on the Federal Reserve and what's likely going to happen on Wednesday, this Wednesday, as the FOMC announces its rate decision. The next guest we have on the program is E.B. Tucker, returning once more. He's a fan favorite of the program, and he runs the Tucker Letter as editor. We'll be going over his outlook and what he sees are the biggest opportunities for investors today. This video is brought to you by and sponsored by Kalshi, the largest prediction market in the United States. Unlike a sportsbook, you're trading peer-to-peer on real-world events, from economic data to political outcomes, and the price moves based on public opinion, not a house. Go to the link in the description down below or scan the QR code here and get started. Users who use my code can get up to $500 when they trade $25. CFTC approved and available in all 50 states, including California and Texas. So right now there's a trade going on for when AGI will be achieved. Traders are placing a 50% chance that AGI will be achieved by any or more companies before January 1st, 2028. E.B. Tucker is going to give his assessment and whether or not artificial general intelligence presents opportunities for investors or will wipe out the markets completely. Welcome back to the show. E.B., good to see you again.
By the way, that's a lot of topics you just promised. Hopefully we can cover all of them.
The overarching theme is how to survive today's tumultuous environment, uncertainty, and find alpha, which your newsletter, the Tucker Letter, aims to deliver to its audience. I'll put the link down below, so please do check it out. Now, let's talk about some recent news. Everyone's concerned about whether or not this AI bubble is expanding, contracting, or about to burst. Now, I have some news for you to comment on. By the way, the chip stocks, as you know, have all been falling, most of them at least. Intel's fallen 40%. SK Hynix across in Asia and South Korea is down more than 50%. SanDisk down another 12% just today on Monday. But we have this news. NVIDIA and OpenAI in talks for up to $250 billion backstop to fund AI infrastructure plans. Okay, OpenAI is in discussion with NVIDIA about a backstop of up to $250 billion that would help fund its ambitious plans to lease a massive new AI data center. The backstop would let OpenAI raise debt for a 10-gigawatt data center campus in Pike County, Ohio, on the strength of NVIDIA's credit, according to a source familiar with the discussion. So they're not even going to banks or raising capital through the equity markets. They're just going to each other. And as long as this continues, there's no pop in the AI bubble. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, data is the new gold. I mean, that's the thing that I think really people get confused about with me is I wrote a book about gold when gold was like, $1,400 and it went to $5,600. And I'm not saying, it happened overnight, but my point is that things are always changing. I mean, nobody ever heard of OpenAI back when we were doing stuff with gold in the early days. And I think the way you got to look at things is that there's never been so much opportunity. I mean, data is the new gold. There's these data centers are going everywhere. Now, we didn't do much with stocks in the newsletter, with chip stocks in the newsletter. We focused on some other things. I mean, I think the way you have to look at this is that there's so much opportunity and things get hot and then they get really hot and they get too hot. And if you sort of see it like that, you're gonna play this the right way. I mean, everybody looks at it with the 1960s mentality where it's like you're gonna have some big crash in tech or something, and it's not that easy. It's just not that easy. I mean, there will be more chips, there will be new iterations of chips. Let me give you an even bigger thing. All these data, Pike County, Ohio. Now, I should go to Pike County, Ohio, and visit, a Wawa station and see what's going on there. But these places are going to get these booms, and then eventually the things go in these big cycles and then they're going to crash again because you're going to have the advent of quantum computing and you're not going to need the data center anymore. You're going to need like a
Right.
storage unit and you're going to do all that work in a tiny storage unit. But that's the way you want it to be, David. You want it to be like this. You want it to always be changing because change is your opportunity. That's what people miss, is that
Well,
like this is good. This is not bad. We've never had so many opportunities happening so quickly. It's unbelievable.
so the chip stocks falling, is that a leading indicator for the slowing down of the AI capex build out
Uh,
and AI demand, or is that just
Probably not.
overvaluation in that subsector?
Yeah, I mean, probably what it is that people are starting to figure out that, like, we're going to have a new class of chips. We're going to have more efficient chips. We're going to have lower power using chips. We're going to have, do more with less. I mean, Moore's law is alive and well. Everybody was like, it'll never keep doubling. It keeps doubling. I mean, in the size of your pinky nail, you're going to be able to solve, the entire blockchain, Bitcoin, hash dilemma in like 3 seconds at some point. And so I think when you see that over time, you stop trying to say it's going to be but this, look, certain parts of the AI scene are going to have, their own kind of trouble. But let me just tell you something. Like, we ain't never going back, man. That's the deal. You're never going to go back and say, let's hire 6,000 ladies named Wanda to sit around, in offices and pay for carpet and chairs and conference break room cakes and happy birthday, whatever. Let's do that again. Nobody's going to do that, because we're not going back. I mean, we're not going back to riding horses around either. It's like, this is how things go. And so, yes, there will be certain pockets of trouble, but I think it's way too kind of blockheaded to say that this is like some sort of scenario where there's going to be this gigantic collapse. I mean, everybody's racing for a reason. I mean, you're racing towards superiority in this data grab. I mean, it's not new either, by the way. I mean, I think smart people knew 25 years ago that data is the new gold. That's what they knew. That, I mean, that's why you don't see. Think about it like this: like, we've never had it so good as regular people. I mean, there's, in all of history, like, we had all these difficult struggles. Like, for example, during capitalism, which I think is over, we had to like carry stuff around and work on factory floors and save up money and have lemonade stands. And if we saved up enough money, then we had capital and we could do something with it. You don't even have to do that anymore. You have an idea, you sell the idea, you get tons of money, do whatever you want. I mean, it's like, I think people, they just get it wrong. I mean, they get it. I was in Martha's Vineyard this week. Some guy shouted at me in Edgartown, "Are you E.B. Tucker?" I thought it was a process server trying to get me. I say, yeah, I talked to him. Anyway, he's asking me all these questions. I was like, listen, it's just the best time ever to be alive. Like, I can right now, go on my phone and ask for the entire history of Ted Kennedy flipping the car in Edgartown that night, with the passenger that died. And I get the entire history, like, boom, in like 9 seconds. It's crazy. I mean, this is like, there's never been a better time. There's never been more opportunity. Everybody's trading. Most people are trading badly. And they just like charge ahead into this market and sort of donate their money to smarter people. And I think you can be one of those smarter people. It's easy.
By the way, this is an interesting trade. This is from Kalshi, prediction market. When will any company achieve AGI? I like to look at traders' predictions on any of these interesting subjects here.
I like that too.
Before October 2027, 40%. Before January 1st, 2028. First of all, there's academic debate as to what actually AGI means and how we define AGI. It stands for general intelligence. Right, but artificial general intelligence is not a uniform definition.
Yeah.
But let's assume we get there before 2028. What does that mean for the economy?
I think that's a little fast, but it is coming. I mean, you and I were talking on a previous chat about one of the pictures behind me is this Japanese drawing that says, "I learn for the sake of learning." And I think I must be the only person that does that. I mean, I love learning about stuff. I was telling my kids the other day that, like, when I was in school, I was always wanting to learn about other things and not the school lesson. But one of the things I've learned about is what that means. Generative intelligence. It's sort of like right now. AI is used as like a tool. I mean, I can load essays into AI and ask questions like, did I lose the audience with the flow of the essay or something like that. So it's basically reading old essays and giving me feedback. It's not really able to create essays unless it's able to take all this stuff. And if you read something that's AI generated, you basically know it's not that interesting. It's kind of like formulaic, and it seems sort of dumb when you read it. There's no passion, there's no feeling. And that feeling is consciousness. So I met this guy in California that started a consciousness institute. And his whole thing was like trying to develop computer consciousness. And I went and spent a full day with him. He told me all about it. I thought it was totally fascinating. And so computers, that's when they're able to then have sensation and make decisions. But I'm not so sure that that's immediate. I think that's the kind of thing where there's a little bit of a bridge there. And you're going to get, remember HAL 9000 from Space Odyssey, the Kubrick film. I mean, I don't think it's so simple, but I also like to watch these prediction markets because smart people like this guy that I made friends with, they're on there and they know when this is coming. I mean, these guys were trying to give the computer the consciousness of a house cat. So this is like a year ago. So, I mean, that's what these people are thinking about.
Consciousness of a house cat?
Correct.
What?
Because if you notice, a house cat doesn't really have the same consciousness as a person. I mean, it does have sort of like an awareness of the other people that live in the house, and someone is feeding it. And all these things is somewhat, at a basic level, the cat is sort of, it's grooving with the house that it's in. But it doesn't really have the ability to project longer range thinking and make decisions off that. It's not really there. So these guys were like, let's try to make the computer kind of act like a house cat. You pet it and it remembers you and all these things, but it's not necessarily, planning. And see what humans do that's different is they're able to plan out and make all these maneuvers, for this future date based on what they've learned so far. That's what humans are able to do. They take all that information and all the sensory inputs, and they combine all that together. That's consciousness. And so the computer can't do that. All it can do is take like 300 essays and, like look at another essay and like tell you what's different about it. And that's useful. That's very useful. I mean, for the ladies at the data, they used to stamp things by hand. That's a problem because they're going to do repetitive tasks very, very, very well. And there's not going to be any need for people that do repetitive tasks. However, what you're talking about, this generative ability, this is the place where they start replacing, say, advertising executives to create like copy that will pull people in based on, computer intelligence. And so we're just not quite there yet. And I think, let me just say one other thing here, because I think people hear this stuff and they have really, really, really bad thinking habits. I don't want to cause any offense to people, but like I listen to what people say to me, like newsletter feedback and the readers and all this different stuff, and people that I know that sort of have money, and I'm shocked they have so much money because their thinking is like so whacked. But basically, they need to pin everything down. Like, remember Y2K? It was like, the computers are all going to stop on this day, and I'm going to get a bunch of canned food, and I'm going to survive. That type of thinking is how people think, right? And it's like, that's not really how it works. I mean, things are constantly changing. They're constantly changing, and there's always new opportunity that's popping up that you didn't know about 3 years ago. I mean, nobody heard of OpenAI, several years ago. Like it was a nonprofit, it was an institute, whatever. But if you think about it from that perspective, life becomes really, really exciting because things are constantly unfolding that give you a chance to like shift your thinking. People don't want to do that, David. They want to sort of like have you tell them, this is the linear equation. You don't have anything to worry about anymore. And that's just not how it works. I mean, think back to you every time somebody told you that. It's always a lie.
So the whole AI build out that we're talking about now is kind of dependent on hundreds of billions in loans and cross investments. If you were asking an AI company executive or a tech company questions about whether or not the AI build out is coming to an end or slowing down, what questions would they be? if you were to
Well,
do
I
it,
mean, I mean, you
a
almost want to
deep dive
ask
yourself?
you almost want to do it like you're visiting someone in a coma, where you're like, what day is it and who's the president? But I mean, basically, I don't think they've had to answer a lot of those questions. It's been how fast can you get me scale? How fast can you get me compute? There's all this lingo, right? And in New York, I'm with these people like having coffee and stuff and talking about what's going on, and it's like it's constant forward progress. I mean, there is no real like risk assessment that goes on like there is if you're building a factory, and you own a pipe company or something and you're running the numbers on this stuff. I mean, that's capitalism. What this is a massive race for scale. And so far, so good. I mean, I think there will be a lot of waste. Companies that are not capable of jumping into the next thing fast enough will be in trouble. And Pike County, Ohio, should sell as many, gallons of gas and slushies as possible at the Wawa before, the page gets turned, because ultimately it'll be like having a Dollar General store, when it moves down the street and there's nothing but a metal building for a church to occupy. So basically, this is an evolution that's happening right now. I mean, right now the big problem is power. I mean, it's like they can't power all this stuff. And so the part of the race is power. We talked about that like 2.5 years ago in the Tucker letter, evtucker.com. We sort of moved on from that because things get hot and then they crash. Like the investment piece gets hot before the actual thing happens. That's hard for people to understand. It's happening right now, by the way, in flying taxis. I don't want to get off the track, but the investment scene is like yet to take off, and like, the real thing is a little further out. But I think it's good to look at these things because you start seeing the pattern here. The chip thing got hot before there was actually really a chip problem. Like as soon as people sniff the chip problem, bam, it's hot. Now, there will be too much capacity. Same with memory. I mean, the amount of memory you can cram into something, is shockingly high. Like it keeps getting smaller and smaller. And we'll fix that. We'll solve that. We will solve that. And life goes on.
What are the investment opportunities still in the tech sector today?
Look, I mean, I think there's things this year we got like really hot on cybersecurity because in February, if you remember, all the software stocks got hammered, and we didn't own a lot of software stocks. We're not really that interested in software. But what happened was I ran into the CFO of one of the biggest cybersecurity companies, and he was like shockingly optimistic. Yeah, I mean, I was like, we got to own these things. I mean, we got to own them. They ran like crazy. I mean, they ran like 80-90%, over 3 or 4 months, and now they're cooling off. And that's what happens now is you get these things, they surge. And I don't think you have to be at the computer all the time, but I think you have to shift your thinking to like things get hot and they get too hot. And your life is going to be completely digitized, David. It's going to be 100% digital. And if you don't like that and you want to go live in the woods, best of luck to you. I think it's smarter to sort of go along with it and make money. I mean, they want you to make money. That's the deal. Like they want you to buy stocks that go up in value and then sell them and pay capital gains tax. That's what we're going to do. I mean, everybody else, I'm not sure what they're doing, but this is the way you start to see the world. And when you see it, you're like, yeah, I mean, you might as well make money and live. I think people just miss that. Like, I sometimes wonder, like, what are people doing? I mean, you're not going to live that long, right? So it's like, if you can make money and go do things that you think are fun, and then come back and learn about something and make some more money, that's what you should be doing. I mean, like, it's going to be over, and it's like, nobody's really going to remember. Right. And so anyway, I just, let's not forget about the original comment you made about gold and silver, because I got a lot of nasty feedback when I wrote about selling silver. And I'm sort of happy that I sold some silver. I mean, I sold like maybe 15% of my silver over $100, and I wish I sold 30% of my silver. I think people got like really mad about that, but the reason I did it, David, is because it's the same as what we're talking about. Like this stuff got too hot. It just got way too hot. And I just, I wrote about the whole thing. I wrote about how I'm going to do it. I had trouble doing it. I found a way to do it. I did it. I wrote about it. I was unsure about it, by the way. I think everybody thinks that I like know the future. I really don't. I mean, I just thought this is really hot. Let me sell some, let me sell some more. And then the thing crashed. I thought, man, I should have doubled my instinct. I should have stuck with my instinct. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the silver. But what I'm trying to say is that like $121 was a little ahead of its time. I mean, that was like, it's hot, really hot.
Help us understand something here. I want to take a look at how interest rates may affect the broad markets and the tech sector in particular. This is the probability of a Fed hike by this Wednesday. It's at 38% and climbing. It was at 36 this morning, now 62%, and it will hold rates steady. This is a day on Monday when the oil price, the WTI and Brent, fell about 8% on a day when announcements were made that Iran and the U.S. may come to another peace agreement or talk about it, okay? Why is it that the possibility of a rate hike increased today substantially when oil went down?
You gotta love being alive right now, because we talk about things in like 5-hour increments. I mean, isn't it great? It's like we say, like, all of a sudden today there's going to be less bombing in Persia, and so the 2 years going to do this, and okay. I mean, so it's a coincidence, okay, that I have this book on my desk, okay, because I've been gone for like 10 days. It's called Man the Puppet: The Art of Controlling Minds by Abram Lipsky, and this book is absolutely fascinating because it talks about strategies to like maneuver people around, like if you're at the top of the pyramid. And when you see these articles go out that are like bombing starts again, no bombing again. I mean, imagine that. Like, I don't know if you've ever been near bombing, but I mean, it's sort of unpleasant. It's not exactly like a high functioning environment when you're taking mortar fire. So we have this time where we're so distracted that we daily are moving. There's going to be a rate hike. There's not going to be a rate hike. There's going to be oil, no oil. There's too much oil, not enough oil, too much gas. I mean, it's constant. So I think where I really kind of sit here is that these things happen on a little bit longer timeline than 5 hours, of a trend. And what we're seeing is the rates going up. I mean, that's like, if you look at the charts, it's like the rates are going up, and so I mean, will it be tomorrow? I don't know. I mean, maybe it'll be. Do we care really what it's going to be tomorrow? I mean, I'm not sure we care. I mean, I think, if OpenAI and, some of the Mag 7 are coming up with a deal and interest rates go up 25, 50 basis points, I'm not really sure it matters that much. I mean, you and I are going to pay for it at the end of the day, because
how are we going to pay for it?
All of this stuff is paid for by us, whether it's through revenue to these companies or more likely as our life changes. I mean, if you think about it, your life changed during the first iteration of the tech, movement. Let's say 25 years ago, your life changed, and we pay for this in this tacit behavior of this new way of life where we have a free Gmail address and we're sort of being constantly advertised goodies to us based on what we talk about and, what happens around us and all this stuff. And we just think it's great. We love it. So this is how we ultimately pay for it. I mean, life changes, and our behavior and how we spend our time and what we do with our eyes and where we go is what, ultimately pays the ticket for this stuff. 50 basis points on the bridge loan they used to build the Pike County. You know what? I'm going to go to Pike County, Ohio. I decided just from our talk. I never heard of the place, and I love going to weird places. And I think I should go to Pike County, Ohio. Is there anybody in the comments that's in Pike County, Ohio, that would like to take me to the finest coffee establishment in town, my treat, and tell me all about the place? I'll come up there. I'm always in for a good trip. I just went to Madison, Wisconsin, and out to Frank Lloyd Wright's old Taliesin, where he lived, and that was totally interesting too. By the way, middle of kind of nowhere, but
I'd love to. You know what? Yeah. Please do go to Pike County, as well as any other site of a new data center, and observe for us how these data centers are being built. Talk to maybe the construction crew on the ground.
Rapidly. I think the people to talk to are sort of the locals, because the guys are guys and girls running the construction crew. I think they just go on one site to the next. I mean, it's kind of like those people that build Walmarts or something. Like they just travel around in Best Westerns and like build the thing as fast as possible. But I think that people locally, it's like what was here before, and what's going to be here now, and what's that constant humming sound. Anyway, and so yeah, I mean, I've been around coal country and all this stuff. I mean, it's got to kind of be sort of similar. I'm now very excited about this.
Are you still hold some gold and silver?
I
Are
do.
you selling your gold right now on the back of higher
I
interest rate
sold some
expectations?
gold. I sold some gold in the first quarter. What I did is in my book, I originally talked about how you have physical gold and you have ETF gold, and then you have gold stocks. I'm not really interested in gold stocks at all. I haven't been for some time. And I sold the ETF gold and booked gains. And I wish I sold a little bit more. I mean, I think the physical gold, I think maybe you want to try to just not have that. Let me just make this clear to people. I see my life like the second book I wrote. I told everyone exactly why I live the way I do, which increasingly I think is just weird to people. But I put it out there because some people I think have benefited tremendously from it. I see myself as running my own sort of life corporation. And people that think that they're going to make drastic returns in gold, I think are sort of off kilter. I mean, I don't understand how that's going to happen. Like they'll say to me, don't you think gold's going to do this? And I say, no. And they think, well, you're not positive on gold. No, I like gold. I like gold a lot. I mean, I wrote a whole book about gold. Have you written a book about gold? No. Okay. So gold's worth like what, $32 trillion or something like that. Like that's a lot of money, for that to go like to 100 trillion, I think is like totally unlikely. And then people say, yeah, well, 30 years from now it might. Yeah. Well, I mean, 30 years from now, like, I mean, do you know how many things you could do over 30 years? I mean, like, I think the way I bought gold back in the day was all about thinking about stability for myself. So if I made some money, I would buy a little bit of gold. And then if I made some more money, I would buy a little bit of gold. And then if I made a lot of money, I would buy like a little, like a larger bar of gold. So I just did this for like 25 years. And that's why, to me, it's like gold doesn't need to be this gigantic percentage of net worth. I mean, it's like there is such a thing as too much of a foundation on your house. Nobody pours like a 20-foot concrete foundation in their house. It's like, 3 feet does like just as good of a job, right? So anyway, that's how I see it, David. And so people, I think they mistake that for me not being positive. I mean, I'm very positive about gold. I think you got a big run. And now if you go from 4,100 to like 4,500, like who really cares about that? I mean, I just don't understand how that moves the needle, because like that shouldn't change the reason I own the gold to begin with, if that makes sense. Like I'm sort of happy to have it as part of my foundation, which I want my foundation to get wider. I just don't really need it to get deeper.
The narrative that the gold price is going to suffer into the end of the year because of higher interest rates, let's evaluate that. By the way, the Bank of America recently dropped their forecast for gold because of this exact reason.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are notoriously awful at forecasting, but I don't know that interest rates have the same effect that they had, back in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. I think this was more calibrated to the movements in the gold price. I think the thing that moves the gold price, like I really, really believe this, like at the core of my soul, or my EB's generative consciousness, is leverage ratios in the futures market. I think the futures market completely controls the gold price. And that doesn't mean there's a person, by the way, that's controlling the gold price. I think that's like a Wizard of Oz type thing. It means that if you change the leverage rates on futures, you change the gold price. That's what I think. And so I have not seen evidence that rate changes based on interest rate changes. I've seen that rate changes based on factors that are sort of like above the pay grade of even wealthy people, meaning certain people that are pinned down by trades. I think there's some things going on that are like a little different, and I just don't think it really matters that much. But I watch this market. I've watched it for 25 years. I feel like I've done a pretty good job of being involved in this market. Kind of got out, with my head not on fire. And I really believe that, so I doubt that interest rate changes are what move the gold price. I really doubt it. I think the gold price is still working off too big of a run. 5,600 was too much. It's too much. And by the way, we wrote about it. It's like we talked about this every issue.
We say it was too much in retrospect, but I remember when it was approaching 5,000, people were calling for 8,000 as the next target. So
it's crazy.
It just created more hype.
That's what I tried to tell people in the essay, was that you try selling into that. Like, I would call someone up to sell, okay? And they would say, is E.B. Tucker the why gold, why now? Are you seriously selling? Have you lost your mind? And I said, I'm concerned I might have lost my mind. Do you get what I'm saying? It wasn't like it was obvious. It was like the thing was going up, 5-6% a day. I mean, like, try selling into that. It's frightening. But that's why I don't think in extremes. I mean, I sold a little bit, and maybe I should have sold a little bit more, but I'm fine with that. We made money. We moved on. We sold mining stocks in April. I mean, that was like maybe a month too late or something, but who knows? I mean, it's not, this is not about perfection. This is about making money, David. This is what I don't understand about people. Make money, spend money, enjoy yourself, because you're going to be dead. So what is the point? I mean, there is no perfect way to do it. You got to live, man. I mean, I drug my kids all over, Martha's Vineyard. We saw everything. I told them next year we'll go to Nantucket. We'll go hang out with Dave Portnoy. So the thing is that you got to live, and you got to keep your train moving. That's the thing people miss. It's not about like, there is no like thing that it's going to happen. Like you're going to get some trade right, and then time stops or something. You got to keep going, man. That's the deal. And I just feel like I'm the only person that says that, but it really works, man. It really, like, I've got a great life, man, and it's not like an accident. I mean, this is how I got involved in gold. This thing I'm telling you right now, this is my thinking that got me involved in gold like many years ago. It was like too cheap, so we just got involved. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like it's just the thinking that it's the thinking.
Are mining stocks cheap right now? By the way, they've fallen.
They're
like
cheap
double
for
digits.
a reason. They're cheap for a reason. It's mostly cheap because the people running them. But I don't see the upside in owning mining stocks. I really don't. I feel like if this is the thing that people don't want to hear, David. Okay. If what happened in gold didn't send it up, didn't send your stock up, you should quit. You should do your shareholders a favor. If what just happened in gold didn't put your stock on the ceiling, you should resign, because that is, I mean, I'm telling you, man, you and I known each other a long time. Okay. You go back to like PDAC 2015 or something, when people were like, suicidal over the gold price. Remember this? You go back there and you tell people what would happen to your stock if gold was $5,600. What would they have told you, these executives? Most of these executives, David, they're still collecting huge fees from the companies, and they're like telling you now, wait, at 10,000 it'll be great. I'm just trying to tell you that the big move happened, okay? If that didn't change the game, you really have to ask yourself, why would you own a mining stock?
Is this big move
I don't have a good reason. I can't find, because don't even tell me about earnings or something. Okay? Yeah. Don't even tell me about that, because nobody cares about that, David. That's not going to move the needle.
Let me end on this note. Offline, you were telling me about how a lot of people have been talking about this big collapse in society, big collapse in the market, and perhaps justifying their purchases into gold or any other safe haven asset to prepare for this kind of collapse. Why are they wrong?
Let's put it like this. What are you going to do the day after the collapse if you've put your whole net worth in gold? I want to know in the comment section. What are you going to do? You're going to get in your car and what are you going to have, a Fred Flintstone car? How are you going to get gas? Where are you going to go? I don't understand the logic. People say the society is going to collapse and I'm going to be smart because I'm going to have all this gold. You know what's going to happen to that person, David? Somebody's going to come over and take the gold from them, okay? The thing is that the likelihood of society breaking down and you coming out on top is low. You don't have enough ammunition. I don't care how much ammunition you have, it's not enough. and it's an unlikely outcome, and it's a daydream. It's a fantasy daydream. I bet you anything that what happens is that the better way to live is to flow along and to see all these things that are happening as gigantic opportunities for a better life. That's the deal, man. That's what's happening. That's happening right now. It's happening. It's going to keep happening. And when you see it, you're not going to unsee it. You're not going, and then guess what else is going to happen? You're going to say, I love having gold. I love having gold. But let me tell you something, like a small percentage of gold is plenty. I mean, it's plenty of gold. Like there is a limit to how much of a percentage of net worth should really be in gold. I mean, it's sort of insane to like go way past that limit because you sort of check out of a changing world. And there's just no point in that. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to sit in the woods with your gold and protect it all the time? I mean, good luck, man. Like, seriously, I think you can live in a way that you learn about gold, how cool it is, how great it is, how much it adds to your personal independence. And you get yourself some gold, you get yourself some Bitcoin, you get yourself a couple other things you need, you truck on down the road, man, and the world gets bigger, not smaller. I think when you think about things with societal collapse, your world gets smaller. And I also think people are wrong. And when they tell me this stuff, they just sound crazy. Because the other thing that's nuts, David, is I'm not even an optimistic person. I told this guy last week in Martha's Vineyard, I was like, don't mistake me for an optimist. I'm like not an optimist at all. I just think it's insane to think that you're going to have societal breakdown and you're going to own some penny stock or like some, significant number of gold bars or whatever it is you own. And you're going to like come out of this as they're going to be writing Forbes articles about you. There won't be any Forbes because they'll burn the building down. So like what I'm trying to say to you is like, I just don't think it works. I don't think it works. I mean, that logic I think is flawed, and I don't think people make money, and I think it's like fear-based. And what I want to do is to live a better life. That's what I want to do. I want to learn about stuff, write a great newsletter, make money, and have fun. That's what I want to do. And I think that's like a better way to live than like digging a hole in the ground and trying to survive an apocalypse that never happens. But I would probably sell more newsletters, David, if I said the apocalypse is going to be on March 18th at 3:30 p.m. East Coast time. Click here to buy my special report about how to dig the right hole to survive. That people, for some reason, they love that, but it never happens.
So let me ask you one final question. Bitcoin and crypto, you and I were both at the Bitcoin Vegas conference last year. Hugely different sentiment this year. Is there still a case to be made for buying Bitcoin today?
I think Bitcoin, yes. The other coins, no. I think if you have a small percentage of assets in gold and you had half that amount in Bitcoin, I think you're going to be very, very happy. Let me just tell you this. Bitcoin, the value of Bitcoin is like 1.3 trillion. The value of gold is like 32 trillion. Massive difference. Now, I don't think apples to apples at all. I don't think they're the same thing at all. It's not like these are two things that are equal. What I'm trying to tell you is that I know for a fact that your life is going to be 100% digitized. And once you see that, you're going to then figure out that there's something about the original Bitcoin blockchain that's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. And it's going to go down as this sort of like epic creation that lured the masses into going along with digital serfdom. And I think you're going to want to own some of that because it's going to ultimately be something that people are clamoring for. They're going to clamor for it. And there's not that much of it. There's like 20 plus million, 21 million roughly coins. You don't even need to buy a whole coin. I think that if you had a little bit of it along the way, you'll be thrilled. I mean, this current situation in that market is nothing. It's nothing. It's literally nothing. I mean, it's wild for me to listen to like gold people talk about 10,000 gold and then look at Bitcoin at 65 grand and be like, man, this is nuts, dude. This is totally nuts. I mean, that's the buy. That's the buy. And not for any reason that people tell you. By the way, when you and I were at that conference, most of those people are pretty goofy. In fact, none of those people like me, David, because they're like, you're not bullish enough. I'm like, no, I'm not bullish at all. I mean, I just think it's a great idea to have some of this stuff. And they're like, well, what about, all these other coins? I'm like, I just got done telling you, like, the only coin I want to buy is Bitcoin. Everything else
Tell us
does
about
something. Everything else does something I'm not interested in.
tell us about one trade or investment idea you got right in the last year that you were particularly proud of, and why that came
Look,
out
I
to be
mean,
right.
we got super. I'm going to say that we got lucky on there was a smash. There was an article that came out by this blogger in February that smashed all software stocks related to AI. We had three that we sort of got more involved with when that happened. It was scary. They all more than doubled from the low. They all more than doubled. I mean, it was nuts. And we wrote about it, David, every single issue we wrote about it. It's not like we knew it was going to happen either, by the way. We tried our best to talk to people that were close to these companies. We tried our best to talk to experts. We tried to manage risk, and they just screamed. I mean, May and June was like bonanza time. I mean, they were just ripping. And you know what people said, David? Well, I missed out on it. Well, how'd you miss out on it? Well, I read the newsletter every time, but I just didn't do any action. Can you give me the next one? And it's just like, man, these people are unhelpable. I mean, a good newsletter, David, a good newsletter enhances your ability to navigate your own life. And it's written by a human, by the way. That's an adult that has life experience. That's a good newsletter. And if you see it that way, you'll consume as many.
How much of your work is AI?
Zero. AI, we use AI to check like the flow of the essay, to spot areas where sometimes, I think I've told you this before, I go on tangents and I'll start talking about like dental floss picks that people throw on the ground. I'll talk about that for half a page. And the AI might say you sort of lost the reader when you went in too much detail about that. So we'll cut it down. We'll cut that in half, right? So the newsletter is like really long, and it's written by fingers. And
yeah,
I'm here to tell you right now, as people watching this, believe me, you will want to consume things created by humans. Writing, music, art. There is something special about being human. And going to see a concert by a machine is not interesting. Now, I mean, if it's a person doing the machine, fine. But what I'm trying to say is that living in a simulation is not cool. You want to go see someone paint, sing, dance, play guitar. This is what life is about. It's why I love tennis, David. I love tennis. If I was going to die tomorrow, I would play tennis until tomorrow. That's what I would do. There's a flow. There's a flow of tennis. There's a flow of tennis that's you cannot possibly automate. And it's to be enjoyed. It's a movement. It's a dance. It's a conversation. It's like chess, but with a racket and running around and stuff. And you live 9 years longer if you play tennis. Did you know that? Mm-hmm. You'll enhance your lifespan by 9 years. That's according to the USTA. So that's why I like things like playing tennis, like going to see live music, like going to meet with artists and see their work process. I'm interested in these things, David, because I think when people start seeing that watching videos on your phone is like basically putting yourself into a coma. That's what you're doing. You're putting yourself voluntarily into a sedation. And you're checking into a place that you're never going to check out of. And I don't understand why people do it. Just look around. When you go somewhere, it's all adults on the phone watching videos. That's all they do. Short videos. I'm not talking about like History Channel videos. I'm talking about like cats, jumping off things. It's moronic. And you don't need to always be learning hard things. What I'm trying to say is you're human. Go do human things and watch how much easier life is. I mean, E.B. Tucker is not worried, anxious, angry, concerned. No, it's not that hard to figure out what to do, David. I mean, I spend a lot of time reading and learning and doing things that I think are of high value. And then all of a sudden I look around and I'm like, yeah, let's buy that. You know, it's easy to see, seems cheap. Let's buy it. That's what we do. Okay. You do that for like many, many, many years, and the world looks simple. It doesn't look complicated and scary and drastic. That's when it looks like that, you go buy into some doom philosophy. And I don't think it works. And people are never going to stop doing it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a reason why when you go to church, the sermon is about the rapture every week for like 400 years. But what I'm trying to say is that when I look around, I see a lot of opportunity, and we've done great with it. We've done great, and we're going to keep doing great. We're never going to stop. We're going to always put out a human written newsletter that's great, and we're going to have fun. And sometimes we're going to be wrong, and we're going to tell you, you know what? I think maybe we're going to change our mind about that and keep on trucking.
Yeah. Okay, EB, excellent. Everyone should check out the E.B. Tucker letter, the Tucker letter. Actually, it's called the Tucker letter. I'll put the link down below. E.B., it was great to have you back on.
Yeah,
enjoy.
Nice to see you. I'd love to see you. I'd love to see you in person sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully at the next conference. And we'll see you soon, E.B. Thanks again for your time.
Thanks.
And thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Follow E.B. Tucker in the link down below to read the Tucker letter. And don't forget to use my code LIN, L-I-N, when you sign up to Kalshi. Remember, new users who use my code can get up to $500 when they trade $25. Link down below or scan the QR code here to get started.